Hey, howdy and hello there, folks. Welcome in. We got a gem for you today. We are talking about players who you can easily reach for and take and still feel great about sniping your league mates. I'm Tank. That's Cranny. Let's get into it.
Anyway, okay. First things first. Click the subscribe button. Turn on all the notifications so you don't miss a single episode of Tank and myself talking out of our asses about things we probably know nothing about. Now, let's get into this list of players that we're not so worried about reaching a little bit. Generally not a whole round down, but, if you're in a tier and you're deciding between guys you want to go get the guy you want to go get, okay? We think that just by losing a few spots at ADP, you're not going to lose a lot of money on your return on investment here. A lot of people freak out about ADP, but think of it more in tiers. And this is why we're bringing this episode. You guys know to think more in tiers and start judging out guys you're going to take in your startup drafts based off who you want to get and how you want to build your team, and not based off of what a bunch of other people are telling you how you should draft your team.
Yep. So build your roster the way you want. Exactly.
So let's start this off with a Detroit Lions player, and I'm talking about DeAndre Swift. He has an ADP of 17.2. My reach ADP for him is 8. That's a variance of 9 picks.
So you're saying the 108.
Saying the 108, and he's being generally drafted right now at like 15, right?
Jeez.
So 9 picks. We don't need to get all wrapped up in Swift's athletic metrics. He's fast as hell. Quick, great acceleration, possesses good hands, great hands for running back. Via PFF's O-line rankings, Detroit has the third best O-line going into 2022. Everybody knows they have a good O-line. She's gotten better. Penny Sewell's going to have another year to figure shit out. Same with Goff, the whole offense in a whole. Before the injury in Week 12 last year, Swift was RB7 in points per game and RB5 in total points. He led the league in targets at 67 and receptions at 53. Tied for 12th in carries at 137 and had 6 total touchdowns. We all know that the big question with Swift is his injury history, and it's extensive. We get it. But the upside is enormous.
Yeah.
Swift is one of the few backs that possesses the ability to end up as an RB1 overall, and you can't deny it. His pass catching, his ability to get to the end zone, his overall great vision. He's a fantastic football player. It's just been injury that's gotten him, and he showed that last year in his little mini breakout. I think this is the year he actually breaks out.
I definitely got to definitely see all of that like receiving work.
Yeah. Imagine those Kamara numbers, and they start feeding him the ball more, and then there you go. There's your RB3, RB2. A couple of guys get hurt, RB1. I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to be it. I'm just saying he has a good shot. Running backs going earlier than him in ADP are Najee and JT. That's backing up. Najee's right about around where I would be making that decision at. Najee going like the 108. He has a 10.4 ADP, so roughly in that range. I am saying you're probably going to skip on Lamar or Kyler. So in your super flex leagues, it all depends on how you want to build it. Me personally, I don't mind going running back heavy early, especially when it comes to youth, and then quarterbacks after that, because I still think that is the same good group to be inside of. And you don't take some of the risk on that Lamar may bring or that Kyler in his late season fall off brings. There's also CMC at 14.9, so they're roughly in the same spot. Javonte at 15.3. I'd reach for Swift at 108, and I'd feel okay about it. You can go after these other guys if you want to. That's fine. Like, I'm not going to go at you on it. But if you're a Swift truther, I'm basically giving you the, hey, go ahead. Go take him.
Yeah, good, buddy.
You'll be okay. Okay. So there's more than one young, promising running back that could be reached for in the bottom of the first, and we all love him. Yep. Tank's got him. Give it to us, bud.
It's Javonte. ADP currently is 15. I could see easily taking him, 110 right after somebody takes Swift, slam dunking Javonte, of course. It's a variance of 5. I'll simply start with touches. Rushing attempts were split dead even with Melvin last year. That's not going to happen again. He's a young back. He's going to take this workload. If Javonte had just 1.18 more rushing attempts, That's right, 1.18 more rushing attempts at what he did last year at the 4.4 average carry, he'd be over 1,000-yard rusher. Which that's what the first tier that you really look at for you're looking at a top running back. Do they hit that 1,000-yard mark? So that should be an easy baseline for Javonte to beat with all the extra attempts that he's going to get. He will get that positive game script as well as all that red zone work. Coming into 2021, we all understood that it'll be a split backfield because of the last coaching staff liking Melvin, letting Javonte adapt to the NFL. Now he's adapted. The new coaching regime had brought Melvin back out of a prosperity. I mean, look how late they even went to pick him back up. He wasn't a priority.
They let him go to the Ravens. They let him get shopped around. And I think when it finally all came down to it, they didn't find another guy that they felt like, hey, this guy is better than Melvin. This guy's going to help us win. And when it finally came down to it, it was either going to be like, well, we're going to either go back to Melvin or the next guy, right? Like they were going to move on if Melvin signed somewhere else. And they weren't going to go sign the guy that was going to take half the carries into what Melvin did last year. Yep. They brought Melvin back, like you're saying, like, hey, you're a good, solid vet. You can take some of the load off this kid. You clearly trained him well last year and helped him, get ready for the NFL. I felt like bringing Melvin back was just a smart move that ended up like falling into their laps. It wasn't a priority move, just like you're saying.
Yeah. It's the value of having a valued vet with almost the exact same skill set that your current starter has.
Yeah.
So that way, if he does go down, he misses a game, you're not out anything. You've got a backup guy that can do the same thing.
Yeah, you can roll old Mel out there, buddy. Go get it.
Yep. Yeah, I only see Melvin taking about 10 rushes a game, and Javonte probably hitting more towards the 20. So let's dabble just a little bit in the frosting of the cake that is Javonte receptions. There's not going to be a need for him to come off at the 2-minute drill, the 4-minute offense, the red zone. He's not having to come down or come off on third downs. He can pass block. He can handle the offense. In those times, he can catch. There's going to be a lot of speculation. There was a lot of speculation that he couldn't catch coming out of college because Michael Carter did it all. I mean, he's proven that he can be a reliable receiving back. He had more receptions last year than Melvin Gordon did. Javonte did just fine with 43 receptions and 316 yards last year. With his ability, to catch, even if it just stayed at that as a fantasy community, I think we'd be happy, where that would reside at points.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be that.
Yeah, Russ finds his running backs. And so, and I mean, it's not like hey, he peppers the hell out of him because he does throw the ball downfield really well, but like he's not going to be one thing I took into account in looking at Russ this year was I don't think he's going to run nearly as much as he has in the past.
No.
I think he's going to have a lot of tight end dump offs, a lot of running back dump offs, but he's still going to get that like press the line of scrimmage. Like I'm going to run. No, I'm not. And just do the old Russ thing and dump it off.
Yeah.
And I think Javonte and anybody else in those areas they're going to reap the benefits of that this year. I love Javonte catching the ball this year.
Yeah. With the coaching change, addition of Russ, and improved defense, majority of the running back workload and rushing attempts, it's all a formulation of a top 5 potential back. I do want to add in one thing. He's just 22.
Yeah, he's fucking young. So young.
It's so young.
So fucking young.
So definitely in Dynasty, just grab him, feel good. Yeah. I mean, even if you're running hero back, you can wait a couple rounds.
Who gives a damn if he's an RB2 this year because Melvin actually does step on his toes a little bit? He won't next year.
No.
Like and it's just going to continue. There, so. Yeah, it's just going to continue to build hype on him. Like you're going to be able to cash out on Javonte if it doesn't work out and get your return back. And if you don't have to cash out because he's an RB or top RB5, then you're going to feel pretty good about it. Go get his ass.
Yep. And the guys I'm going to be picking Javonte over, I'm going to take him over Pitts.
Wow, spicy.
And I'm going to take him over CNC.
That's pretty spicy, but I'm fading the hell out of Pitt too. I think he's fucking overrated as hell.
Well, offense and all that fun stuff. Yeah. All right. Now let's move to the bottom of the second round. We're all smug with how our first round selection is. Now your guy is 22 as well. Who are you reaching for next?
Dude, people are calling this a homer pick, and I don't give a damn, okay? I'm not the only one, like, standing on an island on my own, screaming this guy's name and trying to get everybody to figure it out. Trey Lance has been put on a pedestal by the fantasy community. I'm not the only guy to fucking put him there. I'm just one of the guys probably a little bit late to the table because I didn't want to be a fucking homer about it. But he currently has an ADP of 23. So people are picking him towards the late end of the second round. Screw all that. I would take him in the middle of the second round. Hell, I would even take him probably a little bit earlier. If you're pushing quarterback and you picked quarterback late, like a Lamar or a Kyler fell to you and you're coming back around, I can't see anything wrong with starting with Lamar and Trey Lance if that's how your draft went. Like,
beautiful.
I think you're going to be okay.
Especially in a 4-point per touchdown league.
Yeah. So it's an 8-pick reach where I would feel really comfortable about reaching for it. But if, depending on how the draft was going and if it was falling that way, I wouldn't mind picking Trey Lance a little sooner than that. Right. So like 14, 13, a couple more picks. Yeah, then you're probably going to get some people making fun of you a little bit. Anyhow, Shanny now has a player that is comparable to RG3 running this offense with more talent around himself at all levels than RG3 had to work with when he was in Washington his rookie year. RG3 for his rookie year had 3,200 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 picks, 120 carries for 815 yards and 7 touchdowns. That was good for QB9 that year. That was his rookie year. Trey got to sit for a whole year and learn from Jimmy Garoppolo, watch Kyle Shanahan, get coached by Kyle Shanahan, and now he gets to take over this offense intact, great offensive line, great weapons around him. I think he's going to go nuclear this year. Yes, he's going to have his up and downs, right? Potential ceiling, though, is sky high.
Well, you got to have the splash plays sometimes. You know.
Yeah. Sometimes it won't be there. Sometimes the kid's just going to have bad games. Like, he's going to go out this year, and he's going to throw 3 or 4 picks.
It's a delayed rookie year. So
yeah, he's going to lose you a week, potentially, right? But he's going to win you more, and he's going to lose you. So bank on him a little bit.
And by the time he starts to hit that swing, near the end of the year.
He played in basically 2.5 games last year. His first real action was playing the second half of the Seattle game in week 4. He finished his QB 13 that week in a single half play. Week 5 in Arizona, his first actual start in the NFL. Not a great outing, but he finishes QB 19. Week 17 versus Houston, a decent start and finish at QB 10, right? But that's you wanted more. I know everybody going into that. I know last year, because I had him and I started him, just was like, oh my God, he's going to go off. It's going to be crazy. And he just finished QB 10. But that was like with bad play, right? Yeah. So he didn't look good against Arizona in his first year. He didn't look good at Houston, but he still finished as a top quarterback, a top 24 quarterback, a top 12 quarterback in the full game he had against Houston, and almost finished as top 12 quarterback and a half against Seattle. They were behind, so he did throw the shit out of the ball. Keep in mind, this guy has only played. Yeah, keep in mind, this guy's only played 19 games in North Dakota State and basically took a year off from football between 2020 and 2021 due to COVID. And Shanny is about to unleash him on the NFL as a nuclear weapon. I would have zero issue reaching for Lance over players like Russ, Dak, Jalen Hurts, all of whom have higher ADPs.
Yeah.
Next on this list is a guy that should be definitely getting more credit, and I'm happy the Tank brought him up because I think people should be talking more about him.
I was actually very surprised to see that he was dropping so much in lists. But Stefan Diggs, current ADP, 29.4. My reach ADP, I'm assuming I'm picking 10th in the round. I'm going to take him at 21. Variance of 8. As a smart fantasy football player, we should be looking for low-hanging fruit of great players playing big parts in high-powered offenses. Why the fuck are we not taking Stefan Diggs before his 30 ADP? I just don't get that. It must be because his quarterback was the top fantasy quarterback the last 2 years.
I think it's because I think he's old.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe his PPR finish was just crappy at 7th.
Yeah, but he only finished 7th because he's old.
Oh, okay. I know it's because he had 2 games last year with less than 7 targets. Everything was more.
Yeah, but it's because he's old.
Oh, okay. I just don't get it. Waddle and A.J. Brown are getting taken around the same area, and neither of them have the track record of production Diggs has, as well as he's in a better offense with better quarterback.
He ain't that old, boys.
Yes, Gabe Davis is going to have some splash games. Isaiah McKenzie will be fun, a little PPR machine on the field, but Diggs is the focal point.
Yeah, all those
He's
guys
gonna
have been there. Sorry, all those guys have been there, and
Yeah.
he still saw 160, 180 targets. Like,
He will be on point again and again to have great game after great game. He is definitely one of those guys that doesn't seem sexy to pick. Why is that again?
because he's old.
Because
Nobody
he's
likes old
old.
guys.
Man, he doesn't seem like a sexy guy to pick, but when you scroll through somebody's team and you're looking at matchups and you see that the other person has Stefan Diggs, you're just hoping he doesn't go off that week.
Yeah, you're like, fuck.
Damn it.
Who do I got to match
Yeah.
what he's gonna do if he goes ape shit?
Yeah, because you're expecting, okay, minimum, he's going to put up 18 against me.
Yeah,
Where am I going to balance that out? Like, oh, crap. So why isn't he on your roster?
because people think he's too old. It's
Right.
stupid.
So
It is
instead, reach a touch on the second round, lock down this phenomenal pass catcher, and enjoy the production he gives you to win you weeks. I'm taking Diggs over A.J. Brown and Dalvin Cook right now.
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't. Like, what are you gonna say? You really think he's gonna fall that far in the next 2 years? I mean, I know Julio, like, he fell pretty quick, but those big ass fucking wide receivers like that always fall quick. Diggs isn't a big ass wide receiver. He's a little squatty guy. Like, he could play until he's 33 and be productive.
Yep, he's got another 2 years.
Yeah, 2-3 year window, man. Look at it that way. I love it.
All right. Now we're nice and cozy up to the end of the third round, where we each have 2 potential league winners. Mike, what's the first one?
I'm going to pull a guy right now whose ADP is almost all the way at the bottom of the 4th round, and I'm going to put him all the way up at the bottom of the 3rd round. And I know I'm going to catch
deep.
I'm going to catch a bunch of shit on this one.
Deep.
I know I'm going to catch a bunch of shit on this one because wide receiver is deep this year, right? Mm-hmm. I get it. You can wait until the 3rd and 4th rounds, and you can gobble up a bunch of good, productive wide receivers, a mix of young, a mix of old. Like, it is a basket of pure hope sitting there this year in that area. But I'm telling you, there are guys every year that come out like Chris Godwin did, like Calvin Ridley did, and they just set the fucking NFL on fire. And this is Michael Pittman's year to do that. Current ADP of 47. I'm doing a reach ADP of 36. Oof. That's a 9. Woo. Is that right?
No, that's an 11.
Yeah, that's an 11. My math is off.
That's 11. That's almost a full round.
Yeah. And I get it, right? Part of Michael Pittman's beauty, when I started writing this up and I first looked at it, I was like, dude, that's so stupid, because part of his beauty is the value you're getting on him in the 4th round. But people are wising up. This ADP, and I know we're recording this the last week of August, and we've got a week and a half till the season starts. Still, watch Michael Pittman's ADP start to creep up as redrafters start coming in and they start saying where his value actually is. If in your dynasty people are still drafting him in a startup in the 4th round, I'd be really fucking surprised. I just think there's been so many that have done it there that it's taking a minute for the ADP to creep up.
Yep.
Okay, so I had a big thing written out about everything I just said, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip past that. Really did. He is just a perfect type of player to pick at the back end of the draft, coming into the 3-4 turn with some need for production and opportunity, and his value is just going to increase. Like, I don't think you can go wrong with Michael Pittman on your roster. ADPs around him right now are Drake London. Blow my mind. Why the fuck? DK Metcalf. Yeah, DK Metcalf. Drake London's a 46, so he's getting picked right before Michael Pittman. Metcalf's 39, right in the same range. Kind of a shitty spot. I still think Metcalf's going to be good, but does he have a rising value right now or a decreasing value? Decreasing. Tyreek 37.9. He's a little bit older, new situation. We don't know what the fuck's going to happen with him. Michael Pittman might outscore him this year. Fuck, we don't know. Spicy T. Higgins. I'm laughing because somebody's going to talk about a guy that he put above T. Higgins too, and then I gave him shit about it, and then I went back and looked, and I was like, oh shit. But yes, I would, because Michael Pittman is the number 1 guy in Indy, and there's no other competition. I'd take him over T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is going way too early for the situation he's in right now. And Jalen Waddle, same situation as Metcalf. He's He's old. Waddle lived off volume last year with 140 targets. He's not going to see that again this year. And I think Pittman is going to see really, really good volume and potential production.
So let me break this back down. So London, a rookie that hasn't produced yet without a decent quarterback. I mean, Mariota's serviceable.
Yeah, but I mean, would you rather have Matt Ryan or Mariota?
Right. And then we go to Metcalf, who's at 39, so 7 picks before him.
Yeah.
Who's just young, dynamic.
He's done it.
But Geno.
Yeah, but he's done it though. Like
Geno.
I still think DK has. You'll edit that out. I still think DK has. DK still has. He's that guy. Like he is that dude. And so I don't think it matters who the fuck is throwing him the ball. He is still going to get his. Like he's going to get the ball thrown to him.
And then we've got Tyreek and Waddle. They're teammates.
Yeah, same offense. And I think I mentioned not too long ago, a couple of videos back, how their ADPs right now are floating further apart a little bit and like back and forth. And it's always been in dynasty startups, of course, Waddle is going a little bit before because of age and now and whatnot. But yeah, they're both going in that same range. I was like, why the fuck do you want to? You have no idea what's going to happen there.
Yep,
makes no sense to me.
And to me, Higgins, which I'm still big on Higgins, just limited. You know, he's the second guy on his offense. It's obvious. Last year, Joe was looking first at Chase every play, and then go into T.
I mean, he's going to be good. I mean, shit, he was a wide receiver
one.
Great. Yeah, he was a wide receiver one last year, but it seems like too many things have to fall into place.
He's going to be a borderline wide receiver one this year, just because you can't count on the efficiency that Joe had to carry over 70+% completion. Like that's crazy.
Oh, I think Joe still has that. I just don't think. I don't know. That's a tough one. Like rarely do guys repeat. Rarely do people repeat.
I just wanted to go back through that because that's some pretty big. I mean, you're jumping over some phenomenal names in fantasy football.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go through that for a second and wade through it because I thought that was really important.
That was the part that was a bitch about this.
Yeah.
Because like I said, and to precurse it is like the value in Pittman is there. But the shitty part is I guess this is a good situation to say, like, I don't think I'm going to get him later on, right? If I'm taking him at the end of the third round, I'm picking probably at the end of the fourth. Is that how that works out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm picking 312. Then I'm not picking till 4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Anyway, if you feel like you're not going to get him at the back end of the fourth round, reach and take him in the beginning of third, right? Like I would rather have him. Yeah, I would rather have him.
If you're on the 3-4 turn, you want to just reach down and take him.
Yeah, and I would rather have him and then get into that 3-4 turn or that later part, right, the end of the fourth, part of the fifth, and go for those wide receivers to stack with Pittman than take these guys and then do the same damn thing I'm going to do anyway.
And then you can still go late quarterback and draft his quarterback.
Yeah, and if you are really that big on London, you can go fucking get him too. And
especially in drafts with us because we're not taking him.
So let's you can have him. I don't care. So let's get in a little bit more why I think some of the numbers are going to add up and some of the opportunities are going to be there for Pittman. After a very productive wide receiver 17 finish last year with Carson Wentz at the helm, Pittman has now aligned with Matt Ryan, like we keep saying, the same guy that peppered the hell out of Roddy White, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley while with Atlanta. With no real threats on the roster for wide receiver targets, Pittman could easily see. And as I ripped these stats off, I pulled all of these stats as highs to mids and then found an average for Roddy White, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley when they were the top guys from Matt Ryan and some of their peak years and some of their mid years with Matt, some of Matt's best years, which I think Matt's about to have a pretty damn good year. So Pittman could be looking at 160 to 180 targets with a more accurate quarterback in Ryan. That leads to more receptions. He had 88 last year. That also leads to more yards. He had 1,082 last year. Now, the question mark could be touchdowns. Ryan hasn't exactly been a big contributor to receiving touchdowns when it comes to wide receivers.
Nope.
These numbers would be a little, Julio's highs with Matt Ryan were 10, 8, and 8. The 10 touchdowns was his rookie year in 2012. Roddy White's highs with Matt Ryan were 11 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, and 8 touchdowns. The 11 was Ryan's second year in the league. Ridley's highs were 10, 9, and 7, but Ridley had a nose for the end zone, and a lot of these touchdowns weren't like red zone things. They were Ridley busting, breaking a tackle, and getting a touchdown, right? Yeah, we all know that. The 10 high was in Ridley's rookie year. Ryan has thrown for over 30-plus touchdowns in a full season only 3 times in his 14-year career. So, yes, touchdowns are a concern. You have to take into consideration also JT, Jonathan Taylor, and Indy running the ball in the red zone, running the ball at the goal line, taking touchdowns away. But how many touchdowns really do we think that Pittman needs if he's going to see 160 to 180 targets that are going to double up on the numbers he had last year, in which he saw only 120 targets? Oh, I'm going to be wrong about it. Somebody call me out on that. One of you D-gens, you call me out on that, because I'm going to say it was close to 120 targets. So he's going to see 40 to 60 more targets this year. Add those potential numbers to the 80 catches he had last year, the 1,082 he had last year. Tell me how many touchdowns you think he's going to get. Tell me you don't think there's potential that this guy could be a wide receiver 1 next year. Touchdowns are really the only concern with Pittman. But with increased volume and a veteran quarterback working with a past NFL QB and Frank Reich, I believe that Pittman and Ryan can find the end zone together this year and break out beyond the 11 touchdown high that Ryan has posted before. So, yes, if you're following along on that, I think Pittman has over 100 catches, touches close to 1,400 to 1,500 yards, and that he'll have over 11 touchdowns this year.
I've vetted it, 129.
129? Damn, that's pretty goddamn close off the top of my fucking head. Whew. I bet my brain turned that 9 into a 0. But
it's
then, that's not bad.
It's 1-2. It's good.
Yeah, that's not bad. So I'm calling him for 30 more targets, 30 to 50 more targets potentially. Like, who knows where it's all going to go. But I think if he's the only guy on there, and we all know it's just like it's lining up. And when things line up like that, be the guy at the front of the row saying, this is what's going to happen. Let's do this.
Told you so, guys.
Yeah. So this next guy has some serious potential coming into this year. He's already done it before, and both Tank and I think he can do it again. That player is none other than
Saquon Barkley.
Fucking A, dude. Thunder thighs.
Captain Muscles. I mean,
Captain Muscles.
Shredded the last couple photos.
That training camp video or that training camp? Jesus, yeah. He looks pissed.
Yeah. Current ADP 39.4. It's not much of a reach, but anytime you can reach and get the guy that's going to help you win a league, I'm saying reach over those 5 spots and get him. You know, I'm saying 3rd round, you need to just reach and grab him where you can.
Yeah.
I'm guessing everybody's still hung up that thinking Saquon is injury prone, when in fact, aside from a tweaked ankle, he isn't. He's now a full year plus removed from his knee surgery, and that injury happened in December of 2020. So the little things that happened last year, it was just little fluke stuff. Took a hit, did this, missed a game.
Yeah, he always rolls funny ankles.
Yeah. Well, because he also has bad offensive linemen, so there's people everywhere. Speaking of, the Giants have put in some work in their offensive line. You know, last year, at the finish of the year, they were ranked 30th in PFF rankings. Now, they've already moved up to 18. That's quite significant, especially when you're expecting Saquon to take over a lot of workload as far as running the ball and going into catching. Like, that's going to make a huge, huge difference.
Very significant.
Yep. I'd expect Saquon to return to his full workload and receive the elite number of touches of 280 plus. So it's notated that most running backs that get 280 plus touches between rushing attempts and receiving finish in the top 12.
Yeah, buddy.
So he had 40 receptions last year and is forecasted to be more involved in the passing game. That's all I've really heard in the offseason. He's even more involved in the passing game. Well, the whole NFL offense is almost all passing now. So
yeah.
So even if he carried over what he did last year with 40 receptions, he only needs 240 attempts. That's under 15 carries a game. And to keep it on his average, that's 3 receptions a game. So this isn't going to be his 2018 stat projections because those were crazy good.
Yeah.
This is a realistic expectation that this is a man of many muscles, and he's back and he's ready to perform. To get a top 10 running back with a top 5 upside in the late 3rd should almost be illegal.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
All right, so here's the fun parts. I will pick Saquon over Nick Chubb, T. Higgins,
Spicy.
and Tyreek. I would take him over those guys. I see the value of that running back being on my lineup is good.
I can throw in here that I got Saquon in a startup, and I want to say it was late in the 5th or early in the 6th.
Wow.
So you can gauge where his ADP is now versus off where I got him a month and a half ago or something like that. And just traded. I just made a bulk trade and moved up in there, and he was there. And so I took him. I took him over J.K. Dobbins, I think.
I would.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's just to show you how fast he's rising and how quickly he could continue to rise. These ADPs, man, if you're doing any of these late dynasty startups, I know we don't talk a lot about redraft, but if you're in redraft leagues, start talking Saquon Barkley down so you don't have to go reach him too damn far.
Well, and bring up a point that you brought up earlier in the video. Write out some tiers. Where do you see a guys that are going similar production for what you want to see at the end of the year?
Yeah.
What you like for your roster. That's how you start building your tiers. That's how you start to make a roster and make it work for you.
Yes.
So now we've reached the 4th round. Where are you going?
I'm going to speed this up a little bit because I know we had a little bit of a bullshit session in the beginning of this and we'll get edited, but we still have 2 more guys to go through here. So I will kind of buzz through this cat here. My 4th round guy. Wait, am I saying this right? We're in the 4th round.
So you're in the 4th round. Yeah.
So that means he has a 5th round ADP.
That's correct.
Jesus fucking Christ. This has been a hell of a video.
Good math.
Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is my guy. Right now, Aaron Jones has a 55.5 ADP. That puts him right smack dab in the middle of the 5th round. I have a reach ADP on him of 45. That's a 10.5 reaching pick there. Guys going around Aaron Jones in ADP. Ken Walker, Antonio Gibson. That's 54 and 53 respectively. Cam Akers at 45 at the reach ADP. That's the big thing I'm going to talk about here. Jones is primed to have a big year in Green Bay. The departure of Adams left a massive hole in the target distribution, and Jones is there to fill it. Finishing as RB10 overall and RB16 of points per game last year, Jones is looking at an uptick in the most important category for running backs, targets and receptions.
Yep.
Career highs last year in receptions and receiving touchdowns, plus 169 vacated targets from Adams. Lazard, Cobb, Tunyon, the only tenured other receiving options in Green Bay. Rodgers' trust level has to be there with who he's going to throw the ball to. Has to. He just shown it time and time again. I don't know why people think he just went out and did some mushrooms and now he's going to come back and just like all of a sudden click with his new homie Romeo Dubes and Christian. It's not going to happen. Nope. Christian Watson is an athlete. He's fucking amazing. And yes, maybe next year he could be a thing. I don't think it's this year. It's going to take time for Aaron to trust him and get to play with him. And maybe that something happens that sparks, but that trust takes time. And I'm not going to try to bump
Aaron
that
Rodgers is also a player coach. He wants his players to be in certain spots. I mean, you see it with Tom Brady. You see it with Aaron Rodgers. That's why he doesn't click with these guys. They're still learning the skill tree or the route tree and the skills to get in the spot where they're supposed to be. Right. Because he's going to put it on point every time.
Yeah. They need to be where they're at. It's all a timing offense. Jones is gearing towards posting insane receiving numbers at the running back position next year, and he has always been an efficient runner, never averaging under 4.59 a carry, which was a few years ago, and has proven time and time again he has a knack for finding the end zone while operating in the red zone. Now, we can't bring up Jones without bringing up the elephant in the room that is A.J. Dillon. It would be irresponsible not to do so. A.J. Dillon has turned out to be a very good NFL running back, and the size of his thighs come up every preseason. But let's take a look at these two in comparison. Carries, 171 to 187, Dillon. Rushing yards, 799 to 803. That's a 4-yard difference. Dillon. Targets, 37 to 65. Jones. Receptions, 34 to 52. Jones. Total touchdowns, 7 to 10. Jones. Final finish, RB23 to RB10. Jones at RB10. Dillon at RB23. Jones also missed 2 games this past year. Now, the argument is still there, and it's a good one. Dillon is 3 years younger. His ADP is 22 spots lower. But if I'm building my dynasty team and it starts with Swift, Lance, and Pittman, then I'm not having any concern about taking Jones damn near a round earlier and before the group of running backs mentioned before. Jones is another running back that possesses all the skills to be an overall RB1 and the pass that are not limited to a Dillon injury. He could accomplish it. You look back, these two remind me of 2017 pairing of the Saints. Kamara finishes RB3, Mark Ingram finishes RB6. Yeah. I'll take the guy that could see 100 targets in that scenario and still score the touchdowns. Give me Aaron Jones every damn time. To close this out, Tank has a look at a player who we should already be rising up our draft boards now, and he has a slightly competent QB under center now. Let's hear it, Tank. I know you love this guy. You always have.
I don't know why I have, but I have.
Fuck Paris Campbell and
DJ
this
Moore.
Guy. This guy. Dude,
I don't know what it is.
Year after year.
You're like, just get rid of him. I'm like,
yeah. Every year. Just trade him. Just trade him. But I don't know. What if? Fuck it.
Like,
just keep him.
just leave him there. Anyways, ADP. He's currently sitting at a 50.2 ADP. I'm saying grab him before a couple other wide receivers and running backs here. And grab him in the late 4th round. DJ finally has a quarterback that can throw him the ball in the end zone. We've seen Baker do it with many different wide receivers, not just Odell. And then for DJ, Cam would just run it in. Darnold had trouble getting past the 50, or everything went to CMC, and yet DJ still produced. That is the definition of a stud. I hold DJ and Terry McLaurin in high praise for the production they're still able to put out every year and manufacture despite rough quarterback play. That's just awesome. I mean, that's truly great wide receivers. Like, I was going to say Megatron, but that's not right.
You got some editing to do today.
Edit.
Snap.
DJ will not receive any threats to his target share. Baker can hit more on all of his levels of where DJ excels. If DJ has a route in which he can make a cut, a curl, a comeback, or a dig route, he will create that comfortable separation that will allow Baker, the timing to hit him while he's open. As he has done since coming into the league. He just keeps getting better at his route tree. And the percentages of where he succeeds just keeps growing and growing higher. All he needs to do to make the jump to wide receiver 1 territory is touchdowns. If he had four more touchdowns, keeping all of his other stats, he is the wide receiver 12. He is a wide receiver 1 last year. Now, that is double his actual production. Tyler Lockett, Deontay Johnson, and Hunter Renfrow all had 8 last year. Yeah. It's not an absurd stat to have your wide receiver 1 on a team get 8 receiving touchdowns.
I mean, it's got to happen one year where he goes above, 5 is his career high or something like that? 4 is his career. 4. See, I can't even get the number low enough. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right because he just still produces PPR and, just total yardage. He just does. Good. So it's not an improbable prediction for him to make that leap this year, likely coming into a safe wide receiver 2 with a slight window into wide receiver 1. Easily worth grabbing over Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, or even Jerry Jeudy, who are not the viable top target on their offense. I think that does it for us.
I think we wrap that up. That was so I know I would just going to go back on a few things, and I want to make sure we make these very prevalent points. Don't get wrapped up in ADP, right? Like, ADP is a joke. ADP is every knucklehead out there that does a draft, and a site just tracks all of it and tries to put it in with your scoring totals. And a lot of people tell you where to go find ADPs at, but they're all influenced in some way, right?
Yep.
The best thing you can do is go look at tiers, find tiers. Okay, take the guys their ADP. That's one good way to break it down, because those are people telling you where they value those guys as far as 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through, and then go through there and decide which guy do I think is my, which are the number one guys? These two guys are going to score the same amount of points damn near, and all I'm really doing is nitpick at them, put them in the same fucking tier, right? And then build your next tier, and then build your next tier. That's where you're going to break into these situations where you're reaching for Saquon Barkley at the back end of the third round instead of waiting into the fourth round because he's just not there to pick just yet. And I would rather have Nick Chubb or, find the guys you want and build your teams how you need to build your rosters. Okay. If you're going to go young with them, go young with them. I know the first couple picks kind of decide that. But you have the option to make that happen for yourself, right? You can go and reach for a guy and then watch another guy fall into ADP with you. And, things will work out like that. So go through tiers. Don't worry so much about ADPs. Just use them as a reference.
I think another great thing to do while in your draft, don't watch your board as much. Look at your queue or look at the list of players. Who do you want out of that list? Start putting those guys into your queue.
Yeah.
Before your pick. If they fall off, okay, they're not there. But look at who you want to build on your roster. Like, okay, I've got a running back and a wide receiver. Let's see where else I can build. Like, who's available? What's available?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're scrolling down. It's okay to look down into the next round or before your next pick.
Yeah, know the values. Know where the values are. Make sure you always know where values are when you're making picks. Especially for a lot of guys that are starting new. I know that if you're a seasoned vet right now and you're listening to it, you're probably more like, well, I always set a queue and I always know where my late guards are. And I always know where the teardrops are in the falls. But if you are new at it, that'll help you learn. Set a queue and then watch your guys fall off of your queue while you can also look at the draft board and see who's coming off outside of your queue. But always know what's going on within your draft and where you're going next. Always know where your runs are. Like we said earlier, if you are new and you don't know that there's a run of badass wide receivers in the 4th to 5th to 6th rounds, you do now. Trust me, go look at it. Check out ADPs, check out people's tiers. It'll end up looking that way. Got anything else to add there, Tank?
I think that we should wrap it up.
Yeah, it's been a goofy ass video. We've had some. It's good talking, guys. Sorry, there's parts.
It'll be a little choppy here and there.
Yeah, but it's been a fun one. It's been really good. As always, beat like water, my friends. Stand by your convictions. T1A out.